Good morning. This morning, you might notice that I've got a pair of binoculars around my neck here. There's a reason for this. I read various gun publications, hunting publications. Only once in a great while do I ever watch a TV program where anybody's hunting. But almost invariably, if this person that's hunting in this show has got binoculars, they sure as the world aren't hanging where they're supposed to be. This is where binoculars need to be, right here. No place else. Not hanging down, clear down here at your belt, knelt down over a kill with binoculars, hanging clear down here, almost touching the ground, clear down here between your legs. Now, how silly is this? Really, I don't think it gets a lot more silly than this. Now, my binoculars have covers for the eyepiece lenses. Look it, folks. Look it. You see? There's plenty enough strap here. There's plenty enough strap here to use your binoculars. I think every binocular that's sold, comes with a strap that's at least 4 feet long. Everybody just connects the strap right up to each side of the binocular, and that's it. And they hang down there, you know. I don't know. It just doesn't seem to sink in. I mean, I've seen people that have been writing for years and years that have hunted the world over carrying a pair of binoculars. Clear down here. They're all down here and further down. So shorten up your binoculars. You can move your head from side to side. This is all that it needs to be right here, folks. You can do this. You can move different angles. You can look up. You can look down. You can look straight forward. Bring them up to your face. You see? That's all that's necessary. And, you know, it's a situation where, I don't know, seem to can't think for ourselves. I started carrying a pair of binoculars, carrying a binocular, you know, when I was around 12 years old. So I've been carrying binoculars for 57 years to hunt with. It's an absolute necessary hunting tool. Since we're talking about hunting, we're going to continue to talk about hunting. We're going to talk about hunting, our freedoms, our gun rights. We'd be in a very, very, very serious shape if we didn't have the three wonderful organizations that we have today that are looking out for every individual's gun rights. The NRA, the National Rifle Association, Gun Owners of America, and the Second Amendment Foundation. If you're a gun owner, if you're a hunter, if you're a target shooter, just an individual that carries a gun for no other purpose than to protect yourself, self-defense, and occasionally go to an indoor or an outdoor range or have property yourself that you can do your own shooting. The reason that you're able to do this is because of these wonderful organizations. My granddad was a life member of the National Rifle Association. I have the very first copies. I mean the very first copies put out by the NRA magazines in my collection. I've got National Rifle Association magazine from the very start till today. I've been a life member for right around 44 years. They put out two good magazines, American Rifleman and the American Hunter. And I would suggest that, you need to belong. The reason that you're being able to enjoy these freedoms is because of these organizations and people that belong to it and spend money. There's not a better organizations than these organizations. I don't care what the topic might happen to be, what the situation might happen to be, but they protect all of our freedoms. Every single constitutional aspect in our hunting. We'd be in a very, very serious situation, just even beyond people that just carry a gun that don't even hunt. But all this is all one great big picture, folks. I live in a valley that's been absolutely decimated by mismanagement by the Wyoming Game and Fish Department. It hasn't happened in anybody else's hands. It's happened under their direction and their hands. This is a serious situation. They've allowed wolves to destroy the ecological balance of this valley. This valley is an ecological desert disaster. And it started from the day one when wolves were brought in here. We've got all sorts of organizations out here that are interested in our gun rights, our hunting rights, and so forth. But there are no organizations, there's not a single organization at this point in time that is able to really turn this situation around. If they are able, they're certainly not doing it. So we're still able to have our guns, we're still able to hunt, and we're supposed to be satisfied with that? No. I've seen the most wonderful hunting on the face of this earth, of anywhere in this world, right here where I live. And I see it destroyed. It makes me sick to my stomach. It's just terrible. And I'm going to continue to talk about it. I'm going to continue to do what I can within my ability, talking with people in the game department on one thing or another, and elsewhere. And I think that organizations such as the Elk Foundation, the Sheep Foundation, I don't think that either one of you are doing enough. Either one of you are doing enough, as I repeat, for our heritage, for our rights. I think that for the most part, what's happening here is you're promoting yourselves, but in the process of things, this is not getting taken care of, or it wouldn't be happening at all, because there's a tremendous amount of membership involved here. For instance, in just those two organizations, and there's other organizations, they're not the only ones, but I'm pointing this out because I've watched the direction, I've seen what's happening, I've seen what's done and what isn't done, and I'm not an educated, beyond my intelligence type of a person. I'm just a simple everyday fella. Hunting is my life. Guns and shooting has been my life, and the outdoors and everything that goes with it. Just in our family alone, there's 13 of us that hunt. Every one of us that hunt. My wife and I, my two sons and their wives, and our oldest boy's children. Everybody hunts. So we're feeling it. We're feeling a huge, huge, huge crunch on what we like to do. And I think that unless there's some better direction, people get their heads turned around in the right direction here, and I mean turned around in the right direction, and pulled out of the sand, that I think that we're going to lose the whole shebang right here where I live. I think we're going to lose the whole shebang, you know, and this is the direction that's been going on for even years before these wolves were brought in here. We had some of this direction going on, but it's going downhill at about a 45-degree angle. It's that steep and it's going that fast. And all this hunting country in this part of Wyoming been some of the greatest hunting country that there is. Tremendous elk and deer hunting opportunities and other opportunities. And in this aspect, a lot of attention has been paid towards our antlered and horned game. Antlered game, once a year, drop their antlers. And people start scouring the country, start scouring the mountains, the hills, the valleys, the draws, the river systems, the creek systems, and everything, where these animals, for decades, for centuries, have lived. We've got such a bad situation here that these animals don't live here anymore. There's nothing but some wolves and some grizzly bears. People are walking around, riding around on their horses or mules, trying to find these shed antlers. This has been taken away from us. And our youngest son, Landon, spends a great share of his time every year in the mountains with his horses and mules and his dog, and mostly by himself, other than these animals with him. And he has covered so much country here in the past 2 weeks that it's just absolutely unbelievable. Many people over the years, up until this last year or two, especially now this year, have made half of their living off of picking up shed antlers and selling them to the market. Well, there's going to be hardly absolutely nothing that's going to be picked up in this part of the country, because I can tell you, the game's not here. It's disappeared. They've had to disappear, or they've been eaten out of existence by wolves and grizzly bears, coyotes, and mountain lions. But mostly it's this wolf situation that's changed the whole ecological picture. And I'm going to continue to fight the best that I can, the best that I know how, with my voice, and talk about this. I talk to people that are watching our YouTube programs from all over the country. And I hear from people in other parts of the world. And we aren't the only ones being affected. I learn weekly from people all over the country, from one end of the country to the other end of the country, that they're experiencing some of the same sort of situations. There are some bright spots in a few places where game departments have woke up and they're doing some things the best that they can. But just simply adjusting the numbers of game that we're able to hunt every year is not addressing the situation. We have an overabundance, many more times wolves than what's necessary in the valley that I live in. And this is the central focus of the problem. There are way too many numbers. We're just part of Wyoming. The numbers that we have here, I feel, are at least 5 times 5 times the number that should be allowed of wolves in this area. It proves that it doesn't work by what we see, what we are experiencing. Anybody can go out here that's a real hunter, that's an outdoorsman, and see this and know exactly what they're seeing. I'm a hunter. I'm a tracker. I know how to read sign, and the sign is as plain as day what's going on here. This valley has all these overabundance of wolves. We've got basically 50 wolves in this valley, right in around that area, 50 wolves, maybe more. For instance, if we had 10 wolves in the whole entire valley, we wouldn't be in this situation. We have, just in this valley alone, we have close to 30% of the entire wolf number population in this valley. And that's where the problem is. They've got a total number figured out here of wolves to satisfy the state, and we've got an over number in this area. There are other areas of the state where the wolves aren't near as prevalent. That's more acceptable. This is not acceptable. In this part of Wyoming, in this valley, adjacent to Yellowstone Park, we have a situation here that is just absolutely right there on the thinnest ice that it can possibly be on, and it's going to be gone. If this allows to continue this misdirection, I'm going to continue the best that I can to try and rectify this situation. But I think that I'm a very small voice. There's a lot of people out here that are enjoying these freedoms, and you're not standing up for the freedom that you have. You need to stand up for all of your freedoms. Your gun freedoms, your First Amendment speech rights freedoms. This is why I'm able to talk this morning, because we have gun rights. If we didn't have gun rights and we didn't have guns in this country, and we didn't have a constitution, I couldn't sit here and talk and voice my opinion, because my First Amendment rights would be stifled. I couldn't be talking. I couldn't enjoy hunting this country and freely walking this country with my firearm and my dog, my mules, companions with me, whatever it might happen to be. Think about it. Think about the whole thing. I'm looking at the entire picture. I'm not a selfish guy. I am talking here because I support wholeheartedly all of our freedoms. And I think everybody else out here, we have had for years a situation where people refrain from going to our game department meetings and one thing and another. This has got to change. We've got to have a voice. And don't let anybody deny you your voice, your First Amendment freedoms. But at the same time, don't be selfish. We've got people that think that they need to kill a big bull elk every year and a big buck deer every year, year after year after year. No. I don't think you do. I don't think I've had to, and I haven't. Over my lifetime of hunting, for just elk, for instance, alone, I've killed a bull about half the time, and the rest of the time, I've killed a cow. But I'm going to kill an animal for meat, because that's the first thing. That's the very, very first thing. And this brings us into another aspect. Trophy hunting, for the idea of getting your picture with that animal. Well, I have a few pictures of a few animals that I've shot. Not very many, because that's not my aspect. I'm a hunter first. And if I get a trophy in that scheme of things, that's second. So think about it. Think about the overall picture and become involved and assert what you think needs to be done unselfishly for the betterment of everybody and the whole situation to do with our freedoms that we enjoy now and our heritage. We'd be in a very, very, very serious shape if we didn't have the three wonderful organizations that we have today that are looking out for every individual's gun rights. The NRA, the National Rifle Association, Gun Owners of America, and the Second Amendment Foundation. If you're a gun owner, if you're a hunter, if you're a target shooter, just an individual that carries a gun for no other purpose than to protect yourself, self-defense, and occasionally go to an indoor or an outdoor range or have property yourself that you can do your own shooting. The reason that you're able to do this is because of these wonderful organizations. My granddad was a life member of the National Rifle Association. I have the very first copies. I mean the very first copies put out by the NRA magazines in my collection. I've got National Rifle Association magazine from the very start till today. I've been a life member for right around 44 years. They put out two good magazines, American Rifleman and the American Hunter. And I would suggest that, you need to belong. The reason that you're being able to enjoy these freedoms is because of these organizations and people that belong to it and spend money. There's not a better organizations than these organizations. I don't care what the topic might happen to be, what the situation might happen to be, but they protect all of our freedoms, every single constitutional aspect in our hunting. We'd be in a very, very serious situation, just even beyond people that just carry a gun that don't even hunt. But all this is all one great big picture, folks.